Well, I don't think many people get into audio engineering thinking, you know, from a young age, ooh, I want to be an audio engineer. In my particular case, and I hear this amongst a lot of other audio engineers, is, you know, I started off wanting to be a musician, in fact, a rock star. I remember watching videotapes of the Beatles running around getting chased by hordes of girls. And I said, hey, now that looks like a fun job. So I got first into music, and that, you know, as a musician, you know, you're in a band and you start writing songs and you're like, okay, well now I got to record these crappy songs. And then you discover that, you know, the art of recording. And then you kind of get that, you bite that bug, and it just, you roll with it. And I got obsessed with it. So by the time I was a teenager, you know, not only was I loving music, but I was also loving the art of recording. And, you know, I was already interning and assisting at different recording studios. And that's really how I got into it. And I just stayed that way. And I still play music a lot, and I still love music. But, you know, the art of recording and the whole medium is just something that I'm so passionate about. I mean, the short answer is because blinking is for the weak. No, I don't know. I mean, I guess a few years ago, I was in a video. I was probably reading a prompter, focusing on a prompter. There's probably lights in my eyes. And so maybe I didn't blink. It wasn't intentional, but now it's become this thing. It's a freaking audio industry meme, you know, about me blinking. And I don't know. I mean, I'm blinking now. I blink. I'm a human being. Human beings blink. And I'm sorry I didn't blink for one video, and now it's really basically going to haunt me for the rest of my career. I mean, I could dedicate an entire video series to this question. But for the purpose of this Q&A, I'll condense it to this. Number one, you want to start with a bone-in ribeye. Okay? Don't give me your filet mignons or your New Yorks. Just go for the bone-in ribeye. And then you're going to reverse sear it. So here's what you do. First, you are going to season the steak. You're going to liberally coat it with kosher salt, medium ground pepper, both sides and edges. You are going to get a cast iron pan, put a very little bit of oil on it, and get that piping hot. Now, while that's getting piping hot, you're going to put it in the oven for about 250 degrees. Okay, this is where the reverse sear comes in, because you're first going to cook the insides a little bit and get it a nice medium rare. You're going to take the steak out of the oven when you probe it, and it's about 115 degrees. So you take it out of the oven, then you sear it on both sides on your piping hot cast iron, about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes per side. By the time you're done doing that, you're gonna have about 135 degree, perfect medium rare steak, and that is when you smother it in butter and then slice it against the grain. It's gonna be the perfect tasting steak, trust me. One of the most annoying things that when you ask someone what type of music they like is when they answer, oh, I like everything. But for me, I promise you that's the true answer. Now, I could say that ultimately I'm a really big Beatles fan and a lot of classic rock, but really, you know, I like everything. And I can find inspiration in almost any kind of music, and whether it's country, whether it's electronic. To me, it's a hard question to answer because so many types of music inspires me, and that's what I love about this industry. I love that. This question is kind of like, what's your favorite child? And it's not very easy to answer, but I'll say this. One of the most rewarding plugins was the virtual tape machines, because having grown up in this industry and having, you know, one of my first jobs was working on a tape machine and aligning a tape machine and cutting and editing on a tape. And you know, I know tape. I know tape really well. And to be able to capture that process in a plugin was just really rewarding. And it took us forever. I think out of all plugins we've done, there were more revisions of virtual tape machines than anything else. I mean, it was a 2-year process, and revision after revision after revision, getting closer and closer. And then, you know, it was always a situation taking 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back. And, you know, and Fabrice, you know, is such a genius, and he's so good at what he does. And it was amazing watching that process happen and the teamwork that it required for us to really capture, you know, this such a famous tone. You know, and it was so difficult, and I will never forget the day that I finally got the final revision, and I compared it against all of these references that we recorded to all these tapes and all these different tape speeds, and you know, really saturated to very barely even hitting the tape, and it matched every single one. And it was one of the greatest feelings I've ever had in my life. If I'm going to be sincere about this, it comes down to how do I want to run my company? Some companies have a business model that aims to maximize profit per customer, by charging them hundreds of dollars each for each piece of software. And we used to have that business model. It used to be our main model. But with the Everything Bundle, I decided to reverse things, because with the Everything Bundle, the question now becomes, what's in it for the customer? So instead of trying to get as much profit per customer as possible, it basically eliminates the financial obstacle altogether. And it just gives the customer everything, hence the name. And now you're focusing your business on providing value for your customers. You're asking what's in it for them. And here's the cool thing. Obviously, as a company, we need to make money. We're not a charity. But when you have this low barrier to entry and this customer-oriented business model, the byproduct is that you get more customers. So you actually grow faster. So to me, that's a real win-win. And having said that, we're going to continue to offer our products individually as well, for a few $100 each. But I personally don't think it's a smart way to use our software. So I can't really pinpoint exactly, what we're going to be doing or what products we'll have, because this is the technology industry and it moves so fast, and strategy is really a quick reaction to where things are going. So, I don't know what we're going to be doing until we're doing it, because it's going to be quick. But what I can say, and what I hope, is that we're going to continue to be innovating. And to me, innovation means we're creating products that help people, and that make people enjoy life better. I mean, that's the beauty of this business. We get to make happiness. That's why I do what I do. I wake up every morning wanting to create products that make people happy.